chat. So I'll tell all of you to think about the topic and then put your opinion on the chat. Don't make it a very long opinion. If it's more than one line, I won't be able to read it. So make it short, all right? Now, I'll give you 5 minutes for that. So everybody's opinion will be considered. The first 10 responses I'm going to read and give feedback on. That's how we're going to do it now. All right? So yes, the motion remains the same. This house supports the recreation of historical sites. All of you act like your proposition. Think about an argument, put it in the chat. The rules for putting the argument in the chat is that it should not be more than 10 words. If it's more than 10 words, I'm not going to read it. All right, start now. All right, I can repeat, Adya, sure. So everybody's proposition on the motion, this house supports the recreation of historical sites. You're supposed to put your inputs in the chat once you're ready with them for the motion, and I'll read the first 10 inputs. All right, that's what we're doing. Get on it now. Not more than 10 words. Everybody start working on the argument, please. So I'll give feedback on these arguments, according to which you can just figure out how to make arguments and how not to make arguments. All right. Uh, yeah, that. Okay, I see arguments coming in, which is good. Good. Okay, that's good speed as well. All right, so I'll comment on the first 10 responses so we can stop and all of us can listen and let's see the number of responses you've gotten. Okay. So in this case, you making an argument is not important. How I respond to that argument and the feedback that I give on that argument is more important because you'll understand what kind of argument you should or should not make in the future in the qualifiers. Okay. So be all ears here. Stop making your own arguments now. Okay. Don't give me more messages. Let's look at the existing set of arguments that we have. All right. Athar, I wish I could, but it's a huge group. I can't do a proper mock, especially when people are not listening to me. You see, I tried. Uh, okay, let's start with whose argument should we start with? Let me see. I think it's Pranav's argument. The first. Niket's argument is the first argument. All right. So Niket says that modify, but it's a very long one. So sorry, I mean, keeping in mind the instructions, I can't take it. It has to be one sentence. Suwarnim says modification for preservation abides by the principle that we should conserve it for future generations. This means that this is a proposition argument, and in here you're trying to say that preservation is important because through preservation you can conserve these sites. Good argument. If you had to explain it and do the analysis, listen to me carefully. This is what the analysis will look like. So see, Swarnim has made a great claim, okay? Now this is a good claim and it will work in a debate like this. But how do you analyze it? Like you have to tell me why is conservation important? How are we going to conserve it through recreation? And why can't conservation happen without recreation? All right? Because what will the other side say here? The other side will say that recreation is possible. I mean, conservation is impossible even without recreation, right? So the first thing that's important is for you to define recreation in such an argument. You say recreation is you replacing the rocks, right? Or you replacing the material that's been used. So, for example, some parts of Humayun's tomb. I went there a couple of days ago, so I can tell you this with confidence. Some parts of Humayun's tombs are like completely given an overhaul. So they've used the same kind of material, but then that material is not the same material that perhaps the Mughal architects used. This means that it's completely replaced. If recreation means that, then you're taking away a part of history for which people come and visit this place, right? So some people can say that recreation is not the best idea if it's a complete overhaul, because the better thing to do is for you to preserve the existing monument as it exists in its own glory with like the old brick system and whatever, right? In which case, recreation is differently defined by your opposition. Recreation then, according to them, means that you clean the marble of Taj Mahal as like the old marble only. You don't replace it with new marble or something. So recreation can be differently defined. The first thing you do here in this kind of a motion is you define recreation. Because if you don't, then your opposition will take the shot and they'll define it in a way which doesn't favor you. I just explained how that can happen. So Swarnam's argument needs that kind of a clarification on what recreation is going to mean, besides other things. Let's give you some more clarification based on the next argument we have. Okay, is anybody understanding what I'm saying? Like, are most of you understanding what I'm saying? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me, if you understand what I'm saying. All right, all right, all right. 17, 19, 24. Good count. 31, 36. Great, excellent. All right. Uh, Thank you so much. Yes. Lower your hands, please. Cool. Let's go back to the arguments then. All right, just one second. Guys, please don't type in the chat box. It's flooded. I am finding like it's having like I'm having to struggle to find the argument now because you're flooding it. Okay, yes. So after surname, we have Ainesh. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Modification is essential to restore historical and cultural integrity. Now, see, Ainesh and surname's argument, look at them together, okay? And if you can't find it on the chat, just scroll up. Just try to find these arguments. They're both put together. It's important that you see them together. So, surname is on one side, and Ainesh's argument comes from the other side. So, Swarnam is saying that modification for preservation is perhaps uh, important because it leads to conservation, and Ainesh is saying the same thing. So he's saying that modification is important because it leads to historical and cultural integrity. Now those are heavier words, right? Conservation is still a simple word, what Swarnim is using, but Ainesh is saying cultural integrity. So if you want to use a word like cultural integrity, you'll have to explain what cultural integrity means to you, because cultural integrity is a very subjective term in and of itself. So like cultural integrity could be uh, respecting the essence of the historical site and not its like material, right? One could say that look, cultural integrity to us does not lie in the bricks with which something is made. It lies in the essence with which it was made, right? So if Taj Mahal was made, it is the history of Taj Mahal because of which we think there is a cultural importance given to it. It's not because of the marble that was used. We probably have like fancier marble in the modern world now, which means that you should not affix so much importance to the material that's been used because it's the essence of this particular place that carries actual cultural importance and value. Again, somebody can flip this against you if you don't define what cultural integrity is, right? So again, the problem of definition. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in any kind of analysis, you'll probably have to define cultural integrity because cultural integrity is a subjective term which varies from person to person, right? If you fail to do that, the opposition is likely to like capitalize on that, which is a problem. So try doing that, right? Besides that, the argument makes sense. I think it's also a repetition of what Swarnim said, but you're using heavier words. When you use heavier words, you have to explain them more elaborately because you can't assume that people know what cultural integrity means. So that's my feedback for this argument. The second one is modification results in more tourism. So this is a new argument, just names, right? Cool. Modification, again, you're supporting modification by saying that it promotes tourism, which is understandable. I understand why you're saying modification leads to tourism. But then understand this and be all ears, right? This is important. Your opposition can say that more tourism will not happen when you modify it. More tourism will come when you don't modify it. And why will that happen? Because when you modify something, you change it, right? If I change Taj Mahal and make like a hotel out of it, people will not like to come there maybe because they think that it's all been commercialized, that it's commodified now, that the significance, the historical significance is lost. So modification can also lead to people feeling bad because they think that the history has been taken away of the place by modifying it. So it's not always important, like it's not always true that modification will lead to tourism. So you need to prove why you think modification will lead to better tourism, right? Because your opposition will try to say something completely opposite, right? And then you need to prove the other thing that you need to prove. The first thing that you need to explain is why is tourism going to improve when you redo the project or like redo the site. But the second thing you need to prove is that tourism is important in the first place. Some people are saying that culture is more important. You're saying tourism is more important. Now, tourism is an economic concern, right? Tourism is more about the revenue we are generating, about the money that we get. Culture is more about like the identity, right? Like who are we and how do we identify ourselves? So in that case, what is more important? Is tourism more important? Is culture more important? So you need to prove. that sometimes tourism sustains culture or vice versa. That's why we think tourism is important because it sustains culture or something of that sort, right? Like you have to prove why tourism is something that is an important concern that we need to dissect in this particular debate. So keep in mind that whenever you're pushing something, whenever you're saying that, hey, this thing that we are promising on our side is great, you also need to explain why that thing on your side is great. You can't assume that something is great just because you think it's great. You think tourism is great, which is good. I mean, I understand why you think so. I think so too. But then in a debate, you need to explain why it's great. That's the difference. All right. So if I'm saying tourism is good, I need to explain why it's good. If I'm saying tourism is bad, culture is better, and preservation is better, I better have an explanation for that as well. Because anything can be defined as good or bad. That's the most important thing that you need to learn in debates anyway. Like anything could be good or bad, depending on the point of view that you come from. So you can define anything as good or bad based on which side you are debating on. That is why yesterday somebody was asking a question, ma'am, what if some debate, like a motion is not debatable from one side? It's impossible because every side will have a pro and con to it. Every side can be weighed in this way or that way. It depends on how much creativity you can deploy to get it done. How many of you are following me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, all right. At least 50 people should give me a thumbs up for us to continue. Okay, all right. 27. So let's see if there are any questions in the chat if I can help further. Clear, clear. Okay, thanks for that validation. Recreation, construction, and new historical site. Okay, these are arguments. Great. I think we're following. Cool. Let's go back to the fourth argument that we had in the. No, no, nothing through. You can't unmute yourself because I have disallowed other people from unmuting as well. I'll have to be fair throughout. Mm, Araman Malhotra needs to mute themselves. Right, thank you. Uh, okay, so we were doing Just Num's argument. Just let me scroll back. Yes, okay, Just Num's argument. After that, we have Ranveer Rao's. Recreation is required for modernization of culture. Okay, this argument is already covered above, so same feedback. Should we preserve the architecture? Pranav, that's not an argument, it's a question. Jayavardhan says, ma'am, if we are the opposition, do we have to oppose the motion or the props argument? You have to oppose the motion first in the first speech, and then you have to oppose the props argument in the second speech. So two speeches for two different purposes. Both of them can be fulfilled in the same round because you have two different speeches for two different purposes. Modification is important to preserve former glory. Okay, same kind of argument, right? Former glory is culture, so culture needs to be preserved. It's the same argument, Ishan. Yes, because we have to preserve the culture. Again, same argument, preservation of culture. Mimamsa, modification of old sites leads to countries' development. How? That's a very broad argument, right? I think what you're trying to imply is that it leads to tourism development, and tourism development in and of itself adds to the GDP. But that's like a very broad perspective of things. It's better to say that tourism will be better, and through tourism, national development will happen, or culture will be better, and through culture, national development will be better because India will know what it is through its historical sites. But you can't make such a broad claim. Okay, one thing I want to give you guys a feedback on based on Mimansa's like claim, and this is not just for Mimansa, this is for everybody who's a new debater. You don't want to make very general claims, right? What are very general claims? Very general claims are all girls are shy, all men are assertive. Generalizations are mostly wrong because all girls are not the same, all men are not the same, any community is not the same inherently, intrinsically, right? So try to make particular claims, right? Like we think tourism will develop. When tourism develops, revenue comes in. When revenue comes in, the nation that develops because tourism is an important aspect of the total GDP of the country. And because India has such a rich culture, even foreigners come to India quite a lot around the year, which means that India particularly is a very fertile land for any kind of tourism. Now that makes more sense because you're moving from particular to general. All right. This is called the inductive approach, by the way. I mean, you don't have to remember these words, but just in general, when you analyze like this, it's called inductive analysis. Inductive is when you're looking at a particular thing and then you're explaining why it leads to a bigger thing. So the particular thing is tourism, and tourism leads to national growth is like a broader claim that we're making through the analysis. So you can't just throw things around. you need to give a proper analysis for why the small thing leads to the big change. All right, that's called inductive approach, and that's what we use in debates, these kinds of debates. All right. Okay, Niket modified his argument to make it shorter, which I appreciate. So let's read it. Modifying historical sites can enhance their cultural value and significance by restoring their original appearance, function, and context. Good. I would say that this particular argument is nicely put. So you're telling me why modification of historical site, I mean, what modification of historical site is going to look like. So I appreciate the definition of modification that you've given here. I think that's a good example of defining. If you all are think, I mean, if you all want a proper understanding, just go back to like go to Niket's comment in the chat box. Just follow the same kind of trail that I'm following on the chat to like be with me on the same page. So that's good characterization. He's saying that restoring it restores the original appearance. It will lead to, I mean, it'll serve the same kind of function. So, for example, Humayun's tomb, like any Mughal architecture, is very popularly known for its charbagh system, right? So, like, if you look at Humayun's tomb from like whichever, I don't know, angle, you always see that charbagh system, which is like really fancy. So that's what people come to watch. If you redo that, people probably will not be so happy about coming to Humayun's tomb. So in that sense, Niket is making it clear as to what modification means to him, and that's going to benefit him in the debate. All right. Japnur Pal says it can damage the monument if not done properly. Yeah, that's another good argument to make. But then you need to explain why damage is a problem. I mean, some people think that okay, simply because something is damaged, it does not mean that I will not come to see it. Because see, now during Harappan civilization, there were a lot of not during now there are a lot of ruins that we find from Harappan civilization. And this is the last argument I'm giving feedback on because it's repeat arguments mostly then. So can you tell me what ruins are, guys? I mean, this is important in general. What are ruins? Put it in the chat. What are ruins of a place? Come on. This isn't too tough. Debris, remains, broken remains, damaged, demolished structures, remnants. Yeah, good words. Yeah, remains are remnants, debris, just piecemeal stuff that's left behind from a very like from times that are bygone. So from the Harappan civilization, you have like this, which is the most popular artifact that was found. Like not the most popular, like everybody knows about it mostly. What was found? Dancing girl. Great, yeah. So the dancing girl artifact was found. Do you think it was found in like a very proper, pristine condition, as in the kind of condition you get like Barbie dolls in now for like kids, or was it found in like a very bad condition? Yeah, bad condition, right? Great Bath is also important in Indus Valley. Yes, good. So it was broken and destroyed. But do we value it less because it was broken and destroyed? Do we value it less or do we value it more because it's broken and destroyed? More. Good. So now you understand. So you can't just say that just because the monument will not be conserved properly, or it won't it just because it won't look as pretty, people will not come to watch it. Because people come to watch something when they think there is historical significance in it. It doesn't matter if it looks pretty then. This is to say that if the dancing girl is an old artifact and it's broken and it doesn't look good, people still come to watch it because there's a mystery, there's a historical mystification around what this dancing girl was used for. Why did it? I mean, why was it in the first place made in that society? What did it signify? Was it like some sort of like the idea of God for them, or did they also like dance and do merriment? What was this dancing all about? So those kinds of things get people to come. That's why even if Taj Mahal has been ruined by acid rain, people still come to watch it, right? Because it's about Shah Jahan getting it made for his wife and like what lies within and above and all kinds of controversies around Taj Mahal. So you need to consider all sides of the debate to eventually come to a conclusion, right? I'll give you 30 seconds to take all of that in and ask me questions if you have any based on all that I've said. Like, yeah, all that I've said so far. Okay, I see a lot of you requesting for mocks, and it really like breaks my heart to say no because I know mock debates are enjoyable. But guys, this is like a room of 120 people. If I could do it, I promise I would have done it. I'll do it in the future with you all when we meet in shorter batches. This is absolutely impossible in here. All right, okay. So we are at 8:41 right now. We still have roughly 20-25 minutes, assuming I end this at 9:05. I can give you another shot for mock debates because everybody is requesting and I hate to deny you that chance. But this time you behave or it's not on me, okay? You can't blame me for not giving you the chance. If any sort of like a misdemeanor happens this time around. I'm giving you a chance, all right? I'm repeating this. The instructions remain the same. If even three people write their names before I've said one, I'm going to again do away with the practice. So, last chance, people, use it well. I'm writing hello in the chat, and then I'll do 3 to 1, and then on one, you're supposed to put in your name. Let's see if you can follow basic instructions now. So, again, come on, come on. Did I say one? I'll just give you some time to understand and not do this again. Even no, don't do that. I don't want you all to call each other dumb. That's like the rudest thing ever. Yeah, follow rules, please. Let's do it one more time. And if we can't do it, then it's a big group. We can't do it. Okay, let's make peace with it. I'm writing hello now. I'll do the countdown after that. And once I've started the countdown, then you write your names. Okay. So typing in hello now. Done. Don't say anything after this in the chat. Not happening. All right. I think we'll continue discussing things like this. Whoever is very keen on debating and like doing arguments, we're going to discuss it. I mean, I'm picking up your arguments in the chat as well. So chill. I mean, it's not all that bad. It's all right. I'll find another motion for you all. We'll discuss something better than this, okay? A fun motion perhaps to make up for this mess.
Ma'am, you could just select two random people.
No, that's undemocratic. I'm not going to allow that. How can I choose random people? I mean, I want to give everybody a fair chance. That's not possible. Okay, I'll give you another motion. Let's no raise of hand is not possible. Don't give me suggestions. I've been taking trainings for very long. I know the only way possible was this. Cool. I'll send another motion in the chat. Please be patient, people. All right. I am done discussing the mocks. Now we have to be grown-ups, and sometimes some things can't be done. We shouldn't call for it over and over again. Now, yeah, now questions are coming in about the motion. Let's look at the motion. The motion is this house regrets. Akanksha, not the time to ask this question. Mail hello @ogly.ai. And I don't want this question to be repeated in the chat over again. Yes, I can clarify. I'm giving you clarification on the motion. I'm giving you clarification on the motion. Stop putting your question in the chat if you can help yourselves. This house regrets the rise of true crime genre. So, what is proposition side going to do? Regret or support? Quickly in the chat. This is a smart question, by the way. So, yeah. Okay, okay. Regret. Good. Yeah, you get it now. Some people are saying support. That's why I said it's a smart question. You have to think and respond. Fair. Most of you understand. You, as proposition, do what the house tells you to do. So understand this, or else you'll be preparing from the wrong side during qualifier. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. Uh, when you're preparing on the motions for the qualifiers, keep this in mind. Okay, rethink which side I'm supposed to be on and what I'm supposed to say. Don't prep from the wrong side. It's irremediable. All right. So the motion says this house regrets the rise of true crime genre. So true crime, you understand, right? True crime is what? True crime is not the same as crime genre. Crime is when you like have fictional stories about crime, right? But true crime is when something has actually happened and you're trying to represent that actual instance in a movie or in a web series. Ample examples of that in on Netflix, right? So is it good to represent true crime through web series? That's the question. Genre is like comedy is one genre, tragedy is another genre. So genre is about the like it's a category of movies, right? So the same kind of genre, the same kind of categories. So now understand the motion for 30 seconds and then I'll take responses. Okay, we have arguments coming in. Okay, now let's do another round of feedbacks. I think we have enough. Uh, just one second. Lots of arguments coming in. Let's see where it started. True crime, true crime. Hmm. Don't put in longer responses. The same thing applies. If it's a longer response and it's a problem, I won't be able to read it. Uh, okay, so true crime genre is important because it helps us interpret, understand. This is Agastya, and I won't be reading arguments by people whose arguments I've already read once before, right? Because that's unfair. So the first thing is that okay, Agastya's argument I didn't take the last time. So here, true crime genre is important because it helps us interpret, understand, understand the real world and avoid such instances. Good. So you're saying that I don't regret it because when you see look at true crime series, the thing that happens is that you understand what is wrong with the society or why perpetrators do the kind of bad things that they do and where they happen the most. Right? That's why when you look at web series, you're able to conclude that a lot of these things happen at a specific time or in a specific place or the perpetrators come with this mindset. That's how you're supposed to say you're able to save yourself better. So that's a good argument. Yes. Good job there, Agastya. Then there's Ananya saying true crime is crimes that have happened in real life. Yeah, that's a clarification. That's not an argument. Jasnam's argument I took before. I'm not going to take it again. I think I took Parneet's as well, or not. True crime content often sheds light on real life criminal cases. Yeah, same, repeat argument as Agastya's. True crime can create irrational fear in the mind of the viewers and cause psychological issues. Good job there, Garv. I think good argument on prop. So on one side, like Agastya and like Parneet are saying that true crime is good because it sheds light on the reality. But on the other hand, what can offset that argument is what Garv is saying in terms of how true crime can create very preposterous, irrational fears in people's minds, right? So, like if you're looking at true crime and you think, oh, something happened in Delhi and you're living in Delhi, then it's a problem because you're like skeptical or you're doubtful of everywhere and every place and every person. So, you in general make it very hard for yourself to go out without being very doubtful about everything, and it gives you a bad quality of life. So, one can also say that because the kind of content you consume is also the kind of person you become. So, that's a good argument to make. Sensationalizes and profits from real life tragedies. Very good argument there. Again, it's new also, Parisha. So potentially desensitizing society to the pain and suffering of victims while prioritizing entertainment. For this, you'll have to explain how popular culture works, though, right? You'll have to tell people that look, web series are different from perhaps documentaries. Now, documentaries are more serious. They are not as problematic. I mean, as in, they're not as like sensational in nature. This means that when you're doing documentaries, you can be better assured that documentaries are more valid. But when you're looking at the kind of web series that you have, they try to sell themselves and market themselves as a better web series on sensationalism, right? And people also watch true crime because, or like any kind of crime series, because they want like the thrill from that, right? In some sense of the word, viewers are sadistic and they like to see these kinds of things on TV, right? Which is why the kind of thing that you do, I mean, the kind of thing that you like to watch are the kind of things that are mostly problematic in like web series. You want sensationalism. So that's a very good argument to make, but you have to like analyze it really, really well. You glamorize Okay, so Antarjita is saying if glamorized killers, public review leads to misinterpretation of victims. This is a carry forward of the argument that we're already discussing. So when you glamorize, just 1 second, guys, just give me 1 second. Yeah, so when you glamorize, when you talk, this is about Antarjita's argument. So when you glamorize how does glamorization of the perpetrator happen? You should have examples, like there's a lot of examples, but even if you don't have examples, then you can give reasons for why you think glamorization happens. And that reason is again the same thing that the earlier person said, right? Sensationalism. If the perpetrator is not fancy, people try to generate intrigue and they try to pick the best actors even for these roles, right? This means that, for example, in Zodiac, there's a serial killer who's Robert Downey Jr., and everybody likes Robert Downey Jr. So there is a negative, like, predilection or endearment that you build towards these problematic actors as well. So that you can say. And then Ted Bundy, in fact, serial killers are represented as these like fancy people. There's other series like You, where again the killer is shown as like a person who's sometimes empathetic as well. So you try to make this character mysterious, like instead of making them really bad and reprehensible, objectionable people. So all of that stands. I think most of the arguments are trying to say the same kind of thing. I've been scrolling for a while now. Right, true crime genre helps to create awareness. It's been covered, yes. Legal proceeding, the true crime genre may influence. Okay, that's good. Public opinion, but that's slightly far fetched because legal proceeding has probably happened. It's over by the time true crime, series are being made. So it happens after 5 6 years of the actual instance, right? It doesn't happen immediately after the situation has unfortunate incidents has happened. So think about those things. Unusual amount of gore, but gore can be present in other kind of like web series as well. So if it's like an action movie, it can have gore as well. If it's horror movie, it can have blood and like sanguinary stuff as well. So this argument is not necessarily only for true crime, okay guys? So think about it. When you're saying it's gory, when you're saying it's scary can also be other genres. So what's especially problematic about true crime? Be most particular in that sense. uh Yeah, we're pretty much done. I think it's the same kind of arguments. I have given a lot of feedback today if you were listening at all. Negative ideas, yeah. Negative impact on mental health covered, yeah. All right, cool. Okay, I think we're done here. So I'm going to reserve the last 5 minutes for any questions you all might have. If you've been listening to me, I've told you how to do analysis. I've told you how not to make mistakes of thinking that this argument is true only for my side. I've told you a lot of things if you were to sit back. I think what I also prefer is that you watch the recording and you try to make arguments yourself and then to watch the recording. It'll help you a lot. When you're practicing, try doing that. Because I've given a lot of feedback, but this feedback will make sense when you're actually putting yourself to work on arguments yourself. But this should help. I suggest only two arguments in 3 minutes, two arguments max. Just analyze them well. Okay, like if you do three arguments without analysis, no point. Uh, okay, when are the qualifiers? Starting 26th October and ending 7th November. We'll tell you the exact dates for your rounds shortly. Two arguments sufficient, yes. No, yeah, it's fine. We were supposed to regret, but I'm giving you holistic feedback, so it's fine. Is a topic for qualifier around ancient India? No, that's the theme. Topics will be given on 23rd October. Yeah, all rounds are one-on-one. Timings are 3:30 to 8:30. Winner of the qualifiers will be declared later. The terms you will use to address each other is, yeah, proposition speaker one, opposition speaker one, like that. You can make note yourselves, yes, when the debate is on. It is definitely, no, it's not bad to use heavy words. You just need to explain them more, and that's that. Uh, yeah, you will say that we as opposition support the argument. You won't say that this house supports it. Okay, so house is you will say this house supports it only when you're pro. Yeah, you can keep a stopwatch. That's not an issue. You will get your sides on the spot. No, you don't have to mention who's the person on constructive speech. No, you can't be harsh and aggressive. Those are very bad words. Yeah, this is your last class. Dates and motions will be given on this. Motions will be given 23rd October. Dates are already out. Just check for yourself, please. Can we have any timer? Yes, you can. All rounds will take place on the same day. Not really. We'll tell you what the schedule is like. No. Thank you. Just 1 second, guys. Yeah. No, no, thank you. No, I ever had seen that all outcomes are sorry, but okay, that's an argument. Motion 2 days before, yeah, 23rd is what I'm saying. Can you please repeat? I mean, 23rd, I think 3 days before your round, okay? 23rd, not like everybody gets on 23rd. We can give it 3 days before your this thing round. Yeah, both prop and op you'll have to prepare. Find the dates, guys. Find the dates in the main mail that you got. It's everywhere. It's on the Ideal website. What are you saying? 26th October to 7th November. There are many temples in India, for example, Mathura, in which there was a modification to divide the whole area into Masjid only. Yeah, that's fine, but try to keep away from like very controversial things like Babri Masjid. Like there's, I mean, I'm not telling you to like keep yourself, I mean, mellow, but like don't like, deliberately insert something which might be offensive to the other community. Simple. It's not about contention, it's about hurting other people's sentiments. Don't do that just for the sake of winning a debate. What if we have tests during the debate round? You won't. It's 3:30 p.m. You'll be back from school or wherever. By when will we receive our slot allotments? Shortly. Have the debates for a specific days been shared? Have the date? No, specific has not been shared. I don't think gore is an actual issue with true crime and right. Psychology will also have certain situations which may or may not occur and it creates awareness. Yeah, you can make that argument. 3 rounds will not be on the same day then. Yeah. I mean, Komal, don't ask specific questions. Schedule will be out. You'll know everything. Timings are 3:30 to 8:30, not 5:30. This is for the teacher, Neeti ma'am. Are there only 3 master classes? Yep. No, the dates, your specific dates are not out yet. If in a case network connection is lost, you will be given 2-3 minutes yet, not like an hour or something. Nobody is going to wait for you for that long. So please be on a stable internet connection. You can use a notepad while debating, no problem. Will there be 3 motions? Will the 3 motions be continuous or will there be a break? It could be continuous because it's prepared rounds. So be prepared for a long day. I want to say we will say some extra standard English. No, marks won't be deducted for like any kind of English. Will we be getting a site beforehand or on the spot? On the spot, guys, on the spot. I've been repeating this time and again. Do we need to be available from 3:30 to 8:30 or just during your debate? Just during your debate, but try to keep yourself free on the day that you are debating on. You should have some buffer time, guys. Don't be too strict on yourself in terms of schedule. How to prepare further? Read up on the theme. Wait for the motions to come. Definitely watch today's recording because it has a lot of feedback. So try to prepare on both these motions by yourself once, and then look at the recording. I promise you, it's going to help you by leaps and bounds. So just try doing that and trust me on this. This is a good process. Also watch like debates on YouTube if that's what you want. Just type in WSDC 2021, 2020. You'll have a lot of debates coming in. So that's that. Op and prop will be given on the day itself. Yes, guys, yes. I'm not going to respond to this question over again. I mean, there's an extent to which you can repeat the answer to a question. Marks will also be shown to not selected candidates. Not really. I mean, marks are not going to be disclosed as such. Okay, we're done for the day. 3 students from each state will be selected or only from. Guys, this is for later. It depends on a lot of things. We'll tell you when, I mean, we'll cross the bridge when we come to it. Don't ask questions so beforehand. Ma'am, is the third round going to be impromptu? No. Ma'am, will you be sharing the dates and topics on WhatsApp? Yes. We will get time between 3:30 to 8:30. You will get time between it. Actually, ma'am, if we don't understand any words, can we search on Google? Right, yeah, you can. How many students will be selected per state? Not telling you right now. Ma'am, can you please answer my question? What's your question? Akanksha. It got lost. Type again. Ma'am, how will we be able to prepare for reply speech if we don't know what the debater is going to say? You will have to prepare the reply speech mostly on the spot, please. All right, lovely. Excellent session today, people. Like great responses. I think all you need to work on is your analysis. I promise I fleeted through everybody's argument, even if I was not reading it out loud, and I would have pointed out something wrong with any of the arguments. The only thing you're missing out on is analysis. You're great thinkers otherwise. Okay, yeah, you can start leaving if it's time. I know it's late. Go have dinner, sleep tight, and like you'll be fine. I think just watch the recordings, read up on the theme, try preparing like debates and like deliver 7-minute long speeches and everything for practice. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you all in the qualifiers.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right, you're all welcome.